So before we get started, I got my coffee here and I got my water. Not sure how long I'm going to be live, but it's been a while since I've done a live stream, so I wanted to go live and just answer some questions that you guys that I asked you guys for, and you guys got back to me. So thank you guys for whoever did ask a question. It's not too late. If you guys want to ask a Phoenix Suns question, send it in the chat. I'll shout you out, and I'll answer your question to the best of my ability. So cheers to that. Drinking my coffee, and I always have to have a special kind of creamer in my coffee. I like French vanilla. The Reese's creamer is really good. The Hershey's and caramel creamer is really good. But let's now dive into all the questions that I have here. Just pulling up my notes. All right. And thank you guys for everyone who is already in here. Cameron, I saw that you were in here earlier, and I do appreciate that. Thank you, Cameron. He said coffee's the best. All right. Let's get this started properly, shall we? Hey there, guys. My name is Brandon, aka Suns Geek, and if it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. So that's right, guys. Welcome to my Q&A live stream. I got a few questions here that I'm going to answer and just give my opinion on. Then I'm going to open it up to the chat. You guys can get active, leave comments, questions, and I will shout you out and I will respond to you. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching this. I do not know how long I'm going to be able to go live. I mean, I could be here for 30 minutes. I could be here for 2 hours. Who knows? It honestly just depends on how many people are going to be in this chat. And let's dive right into the first few questions that I have. So basically, what I did was I reached out to a few friends and I said, hey, give me some Phoenix Suns questions. And I got a whole bunch of them. Um, and I don't know if I'm really going to answer them all, but I will start off with this question because I feel like it's sort of important right now. And Peter, aka Giant Slim, shout out to my boy Peter. He asks, Kelly Oubre's contract is ending next season. What should the Suns do with him? And I know that this answer sounds a little bit harsh, but I think that all depends on his health. As we all know, Kelly Oubre went out with a torn meniscus. He had the MRI and everything. And I really just feel like it just depends on his health because we do know that when Kelly Oubre is healthy, he is one of the most explosive, fun players to watch on the Suns. He kind of helps form our big three with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. And I'm one of the biggest Kelly Oubre fans that there is. So I think as long as he is healthy, I think the Phoenix Suns should hang on to Kelly Oubre. I think he's only 23, 24 years old. You got to remember, that's really young in the NBA. I mean, Cam Johnson, I think, just turned 24 years old, and he's themselves for letting Kelly Oubre go. So I don't think the Phoenix Suns should make that mistake. I'm not saying sign him to like a 4-year, however $1 million deal, but I would hang on to Kelly Oubre, even if it's just signing him for one more year. Hopefully the guy can stay healthy. I feel like he's had just kind of a string of bad luck injuries. And it's funny, I was reading up recently that the injury that Kelly Oubre recently had, I guess, happened during the Jazz game. And I think Kelly didn't even know that it happened. That's how quickly these injuries can happen. Excuse me. And it's just too bad. I don't know. If it basically answers Peter's question here is I think depending on his health, the Suns should re-sign him and hang on to him. And even if he has to come off the bench because Mikal Bridges is thriving and he's having a great season. So keep Kelly Oubre because he really has turned the culture of the Phoenix Suns around. He's brought in a lot of fans by himself. Peter also asks, who should the Phoenix Suns target in free agency, which I am going to talk about a little bit later in this live stream because there was some recent news that the Phoenix Suns tried to make an NBA trade deadline push for Aaron Gordon. So I'm going to address that question later. Another question that Peter asked is is DeAndre Ayton's comeback I'm sorry. Is DeAndre Ayton coming back this season? How severe is the ankle injury? Apparently, I cannot read. Um, So he basically is asking how severe is DeAndre Ayton's ankle injury, and I think DeAndre Ayton's going to be okay because one, it didn't really look that bad when OG Anunoby fell on DeAndre Ayton, and he kind of just landed awkwardly. And in most cases, a lot of NBA injuries really look bad in live time, but then after it's over, it's like it doesn't look as bad, is what I'm saying. And I guess that the Suns have been on top of this and they've been keeping the media updated. And I don't think everyone loves to talk about Trey Young. I know everyone loves to talk about Luca, but you really got to keep DeAndre Ayton in that conversation because he's having a really good season. I thought he had an overlooked rookie of the year season. And the more DeAndre Ayton is out there playing, the better player that he will become. That's just my personal opinion. So good questions by my good friend Peter there, aka Giant Slim. One of them I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to ask you guys later in the chat, and that is a question that Peter asked, and I will ask you guys because it's kind of a compare question. But I will ask that a little bit later. Um, he asked a really good one though. If this roster was healthy, do you think they'd be capable of making the playoffs, or are they still missing pieces? So he is asking, um, I'm sorry, I'm just reading some of the chat right here. Okay. Sorry about that. So Peter is asking if the Phoenix Suns were fully healthy, would the Phoenix Suns be in the playoff chase, and or are we still missing a few pieces? I honestly think we'd at least be the 8th seed because I feel like despite what a lot of Phoenix Suns fans might think of Frank Kaminsky, I feel like Frank Kaminsky was huge for us and that he could at least give us 15 points on any given night. And I feel like once Frank Kaminsky went down, a lot of the Phoenix Suns players went down as well, which is obviously not good. Um, and I mean, the Suns have just been plagued by injury all season long. And I feel like if the Suns just went on a 5-6 game win streak, there'd be a little bit of hope alive. But the Phoenix Suns, for the past like 5 years, have really struggled with losing winnable games. I'll repeat that again. The Phoenix Suns are terrible at losing winnable games. And that's what the Phoenix Suns have done a lot this season, especially recently. We had 2 home games back to back against the Detroit Pistons and the Golden State Warriors. The Detroit Pistons with no Andre Drummond, no Blake Griffin, they lost. And the Suns had a lead in that game because Derrick Rose played like MVP Derrick Rose, and the Suns just blew it. And then you're like, okay, I can forgive that loss, whatever. But then all of a sudden, the Phoenix Suns lost to the G League Warriors. And the Suns had like an 18-point lead in that game too, which is absolutely unacceptable. And if you go back to last season, the season before that, the Suns are just so bad at losing winnable games. And that's just something that bothers me as a fan and as somebody who talks about the Phoenix Suns on YouTube. And I get it. Like every NBA team is going to do that, but the Suns do it consistently. Whoa, sorry guys. Lighting's a little messed up here. Okay. All right. How's the lighting look? Should I kind of get adjusted here? I mean, we got time. I'm kind of operating by myself here. I'm in a hotel room if you guys can't tell. The lighting is all messed up right now. And it's funny, I've joked around before that every live stream I do, I always have technical difficulties, whether it's audio, whether it's lighting issues. I'm just going to leave it like this. But anyway, so let's keep asking questions that you guys had asked. And once again, shout out to my friend Peter, aka Giant Slim, who asked the first few questions. Now we're gonna answer a couple questions that Xavier asked. Shout out to my boy Xavier. And he simply writes, when do you think the Phoenix Suns will make the playoffs? And I will go back to the previous question and answer, which is the Phoenix Suns will make the playoffs when they can win winnable games. That's simple. James Jones is, I feel like he does a decent job of trying to keep the chemistry of this current team. Now, I'm not saying that every player who's on this current roster will be back next year, but I feel like he really wants to keep these guys together. So I feel like once the Suns can find a consistent core of players, once the Suns can find a long-term power forward, and once the Suns can find a bench, they will make the playoffs. And obviously, we have to see what happens with Devin Booker. We have to see how DeAndre Ayton improves and progresses. We have to see what happens with Kelly Oubre. But I think one day the Suns will make the playoffs, and I think that a lot of Suns fans will come back, if that makes sense. Because obviously, right now, it's not fun to be a Suns fan. People don't watch the Suns. People don't really care for the Suns. And I feel like even if the Suns made the 8th seed and got swept, people would be excited again. So we have a lot of work to do this off season, and I think that that's a question later on, that because I have so many questions right in front of me, is the Suns have a lot of work to do. It's going to be a topic that I'm going to talk about later after I talk about the free agency question. The Suns have a lot of work to do, and that's when we'll make the playoffs, is when we can start winning winnable games. And once the Suns get to work on their roster, I'm going to take a small little break. And this is your time, by the way, guys, to start flooding in questions. Oh, the lighting is terrible right now. I'm so sorry for the lighting right now, you guys. Thanks, Andrew, because I honestly was not sure how the lighting looks. I mean, I'm just looking at my screen and I see a bunch of light in the back, and then I see the light right here, but I'm glad you guys can see me. Promise you guys, next time the lighting will be a lot better. And once again, one man show here, doing my best to bring you guys all the Phoenix Suns news that I can. So, all right, let's get back to the questions here. Um, Xavier also had asked, do you think if we don't make the playoffs in the next year or two, will Booker ask for a trade? And I mean, I think the easy answer to that is Devin Booker's going to ask for a trade this summer, because the Suns probably aren't going to make the playoffs. And I feel like it honestly depends. Like, let's say he doesn't ask for a trade this summer and the Suns are mediocre once again. Like, I feel like it all depends on what we do this off season. And I feel like I said that last season. I feel like I said that last off season. I was like, oh, it all depends on what the Phoenix Suns do. Like, I feel like it's not really up to Booker. It's up to what the Phoenix Suns do. But I will say this: Devin Booker has said multiple times that he wants to be a Phoenix Sun for his entire career. And even when Kelly Oubre got here, he said the same thing. He's like, I'm number 3, small forward for the Phoenix Suns, trying to keep it that way for the rest of my career. Close quote. He actually said that. Devin Booker said something very, very similar. Now, then again, Booker was a lot younger back then. But the Suns just got to be consistent. And I feel like that's kind of the theme of this live stream already. Is just the Suns need to be consistent. They need to win winnable games. They need to keep the same core together. They need to bring a culture back to Phoenix that was once here. And they just the Suns just have a lot of work to do, you guys. That's all I'm saying. Um, so shout out to Xavier, shout out to Peter for the questions. They did ask a few more questions, but I'm just trying to tackle the ones that I feel are the most important, but they definitely did ask some really good questions. And once again, I have a question for you guys that I'm going to add into the chat, and you guys can get active and talk about it. Sawbucks 23. So shout out to Sawbucks 23 if you're watching. He asked a question recently. He said, should we sign Jordan Bell? If you guys do not remember, Jordan Bell played for the Warriors. I think he recently played for the Minnesota Timberwolves and was let go. I think he was kind of shopped around during the NBA trade deadline. Jordan Bell is interesting, you guys, because I remember when he was drafted, the Chicago Bulls basically sold him to the Warriors, which, and I remember, draft analysis and the media was like, oh my gosh, why did the Chicago Bulls do that? The Golden State Warriors got a steal. And from what I remember, Jordan Bell played really, really good for the Golden State Warriors. And I don't know if it's just been injuries or maybe just a string of bad luck, but I feel like ever since then, he has not really done anything in the league. And his career numbers aren't going to stand out. I'm not too much of a big college guy, but I think he had a pretty good college career. Um, I would take Jordan Bell if the asking price is right. I wouldn't give up too much for him. I don't even know how much I would sign him for. Um, but yeah, I think he's a good young player. He would fit our young core and he would be an interesting player. I would look into Jordan Bell and also shout out to Sawbucks 23 because he left a comment on a recent video of mine saying that we should have brought back Troy Daniels. I'll still be on the Suns. I don't know why the Suns gave up on Troy Daniels. I think he's one of the best shooters in the league who does not get talked about. Um, and that's basically my thing is that I would bring back Troy Daniels if I were GM, and I would also look into Jordan Bell for the right asking price. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys a question in the chat right now. So I'm going to type it up. And this is a question from Peter, who had asked this earlier. And give me 1 second here, guys. All right. So the question that Peter had asked earlier is which player do you compare DeAndre Ayton to? Now, I'm a really big NBA history geek. I love NBA history. I can tell you guys anything you want to know, especially when it comes to NBA history. And I feel like this question's really unique because I feel like DeAndre Ayton is a very unique big man. Arguably, we've never really seen anything like DeAndre Ayton before in NBA history. But then again, there have been so many great big men in the NBA. And I feel like I can't really answer this question. As much as I know about NBA history, I don't really know who you would compare DeAndre Ayton to. Because let's say DeAndre Ayton is like a 3, 4, 5 time All-Star. That's great. Um, He's obviously a double-double machine, but he's so, like, finesse and thin, especially recently, like, he has lost weight, and I feel like he's getting into NBA shape. Um, I don't know, I just think I I don't know if there's anybody ever like him, and this kinda brings up an NBA topic that even Zion Williamson said himself. He's like, "There's never" Zion Williamson said, "There's never been an NBA player like me." Everyone wants to compare Zion Williamson to LeBron James, but that's not really the case. And Zion Williamson, I said this recently, he is he's in college shape right now. He's still a teenager. Can you imagine Zion Williamson once he gets into NBA shape? And that's what I'm talking about with DeAndre Ayton. Once he figures this out and figures out that he's the biggest player on the court at all times, once he's in NBA shape, once he can learn to block shots, he might be the first DeAndre Ayton ever. You know what I mean? That's just my personal opinion. So great question. And let me know in the comments because I do see a little bit of Hakeem Olajuwon in there. For those of you who know, like Hakeem Olajuwon is an NBA legend, and I think he's one of the more overlooked basketball Hall of Famers ever. He was that good of a player. I don't know why Hakeem Olajuwon does not get talked about more, but and also David Robinson too. I think David Robinson's a really overlooked legend that nobody ever talks about, and they should. So, just my personal opinion, anyways. All right. So this was a topic that was sort of asked by the questions that I got. but I wanted to kind of save it for its own segment. Um, and this report just came out today. And this kind of goes with who should the Phoenix Suns pursue in free agency? What should we do in the offseason kind of questions? Because apparently the Suns tried to make a trade for Aaron Gordon, but they had no success. Now, you have to remember what happened during this year's NBA trade deadline, especially for the Phoenix Suns, was there was random rumors and a really story started developing about Luke Kennard from the Detroit Pistons. Now, if you guys don't know, Jeff Bauer is like in our management team. He's up there. I forgot his exact title. But he's a former Pistons guy. So I feel like that was sort of linked in there with the whole Luke Kennard thing. And I would have welcomed Luke Kennard. I don't think I would have given up a draft pick for him. And I think that that's the reason we didn't get Luke Kennard was because they couldn't come to agreements on draft picks, which, by the way, draft picks are like gold now. I don't care if it's like the 49th pick in the second round, draft picks are gold. So I feel like that's the reason we didn't get Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard, I feel like, is a good player. The guy can definitely shoot. He's got size. I would welcome Luke Kennard. Um, but going back to Aaron Gordon, teams are obviously going to pursue him this offseason. I read that he's averaging nearly 14 and a half points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists per game. That's pretty good. Those are pretty good numbers. But I guess he hasn't really been that consistent this year. I feel bad for the Orlando Magic, who lost Jonathan Isaac, who was having a great season earlier this year. But the Suns need a long-term power forward, and I also feel really bad for Dario Saric because I was really big on the Dario Saric stock. I think that he is sort of a fan favorite, but he's not really consistent. But when Dario Saric does play good, the Phoenix Suns play good. I would like to keep Dario Saric on this team, but just bring him off the bench. And that's where, again, the Phoenix Suns need a long-term power forward, and the Phoenix Suns need a long-term bench because a lot of these guys on the current team, they're just not getting the job done. Despite how much I like them, despite how much I talk about these players, the bench just isn't getting the job done. I wouldn't give up too much for Aaron Gordon. I like Aaron Gordon, and I think it's cool because, he's from U of A. He's got the Arizona connections. I'm pretty sure him and DeAndre Ayton would get along very well. But is Aaron Gordon the answer for the Phoenix Suns? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. Also, guys, quick update. Everything's sounding good. Everything looking good. Be honest, because all the feedback really does help. I know the lighting's a little strange, but I hope you guys like the sound of the microphone. Hope you guys are enjoying the live stream. And once again, I appreciate you guys joining the live stream. This was kind of a random one. I haven't done one in a while and I wanted to. And keep in mind, again, I will be opening up the chat and talking to you guys and answering your guys' questions and feedbacks and comments and all that stuff. So thank you guys. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my Twitter and just make sure there have been no questions sent to Twitter. By the way, follow me on Twitter at Suns Geek Brandon. I'll type that in the chat right now. All right. So that's all for the questions there. We're going to pull up Twitter real quick. Okay, no Twitter questions. All right. Okay, now we're going to open up to the chat. And I know I say this a lot, but I do want to do more live streams and hopefully we can get in more questions and I can be live longer. But we are going to pull it up right now and talk to you guys. So let's do that. All right. So shout out to Cameron who was in the chat earlier. Not sure if you're still here, Cameron, but shout out to you, buddy. I miss you. And thank you so much for watching and being a fan. Cameron, you were awesome. And thank you for the pictures that you and your family gave to me, which I made a small little video about. And shout out to Cameron. All right. And I'm going to try my best to not butcher any of your guys' names. I apologize if I do. Ruben says, Sons Geek, a Phoenix legend. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you. Football fan Dan writes, who's your favorite college sports team? Guys, if you know me on a personal level, I just college just isn't really my thing. I'll watch the occasional March Madness. I did live in Arizona. I would have to say any Arizona college sports team, but college just is not my thing. Jeremiah says, "Hey man," and then he says, "Do you have any plans to do a Phoenix Suns giveaway?" Yeah, I've thought about this. I have a ton of stuff that I could give away. Um, but if you guys have been following me, I did just recently move, so I have to get everything settled, and then I think once maybe I hit 2,000 subscribers, I'll probably do it. And I am getting close to 2,000 subscribers, so I'll probably do a live stream then, but I also want to do one more before I hit 2,000 subscribers. And thank you guys so much if you guys are subscribed. If you guys aren't and you guys are new to this channel, my name is Brandon, aka Suns Geek. If it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. That's the basis of this channel. That's my bread and butter. So subscribe for Phoenix Suns videos if you haven't already. Also, click like on this live stream because it really, really helps. Ruben also writes, should the Suns have brought back Jamal Crawford? And I guess the answer to that is, well, why isn't Jamal Crawford on any NBA team right now? like the buyout market's hot right now. The playoffs are almost here. We're in March. You think that he would have been signed by like December. So I do know that Jamal Crawford was really close with Mikal Bridges, which that's awesome. Um, I think it would have been good to bring him back because you do know that he can give you that scoring. If I'm correct, last season he had like a, correct me if I'm wrong, was it like a 50-point game? Jamal Crawford had a 50-point game on the Phoenix Suns, something like that. He had a big scoring night. Um, so he would have been good for a few points here and there. He would have been great for a veteran and leadership, and especially being like a mentor to Mikal Bridges. But I think because of how bad last season was and everything that went down, I don't know if he'd want to come back. And can you really blame him? Just saying. But the fact that he's not on an NBA roster right now is bizarre because I've always been a big Jamal Crawford fan. He's arguably an NBA Hall of Famer or a basketball Hall of Famer. And yeah, Jamal Crawford. Eric writes, nice hat. Thank you very much. I also like it too. I like the Black Phoenix Suns logo. Awesome hat. And if I'm correct, Mitchell Ness made this hat. I really like this hat. I also like to leave a little sticker up there too. Eric also writes, it shows how much we need Oubre out there. Yeah, absolutely. Because the Phoenix Suns, you know, Kelly Oubre basically averages 20 points a game close, and we lost that 20 points a game. So Kelly Oubre, and oh, by the way, Kelly Oubre is a very overlooked rebounder. Like, I'm not saying he's one of the best in the league, but he's one of the best rebounders on the team. So we lost rebounding, we lost size, we lost athleticism, we lost the excitement that Kelly Oubre brings. So that's ooh, Kelly Oubre, man. I love Kelly Oubre. Andrew says, "What's up? Hope we win tonight. We can knock out some teams out of the playoff contention." He says, "I can see you good. The Western Conference is tough at the moment." Yeah, the Phoenix Suns I think play the Portland Trailblazers tonight, and they've been a huge disappointment. Um, I mean, the Portland Trailblazers made the Western Conference Finals last year, and this year they've just been bad. You got to wonder how much longer they're gonna stick with like CJ McCollum and their entire roster. I do love that they've revived Carmelo Anthony. Thank goodness, because he was another player where I was like, why isn't he in the league? Um, but because I don't think Damian Lillard's going anywhere. And you know that if they traded Damian Lillard, they would get somebody huge for Damian Lillard. But yeah, I mean the Suns just need to win, and hopefully we can beat the Blazers. And by the way, Lakers Bucks tonight, that should be a huge matchup. And then there's another game on, forgetting right now, but definitely good night basketball. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this live stream a little bit early, because there's a lot of basketball on tonight and I want to watch it. Okay, I'm sorry if I butcher your name here, but the Ruse in the Valley, hope I said your name right. Do you think Booker is worn out? Did he just slow down knowing we weren't going to the playoffs? Great question. Thank you for asking this question. Because I've been kind of seeing that too. I've kind of been reading some stuff on it and seeing some stuff. I'll just say this, and this is me being very biased here. This is me being sort of a defender of Booker here. Can you really blame Booker if he is worn out? That's why I love your question. I think Booker is a little worn out. I mean, he'll still give you 20 points per game, but he's literally carrying this team, on the exception of when Kelly Oubre has a huge night and when the Suns can actually hit threes, which we've been a terrible 3-point shooting team this year. You know, it's tough to be Devin Booker right now. And I think that when the whole All-Star thing happened, if you guys remember when he got originally snubbed, he said, I want to go off the grid for a while. I think that the Kobe Bryant tragedy really affected him, but it wasn't just that. It was just everything. Basketball, playing for the Phoenix Suns, you know, he's a really big family guy. I just think that he's just overwhelmed right now. I think he's just exhausted. And I feel like during All-Star weekend, despite how busy he was, I feel like he did take time off. And you know, I don't know if the Phoenix Suns are going to make the playoffs. Right now it's not looking good. So if he's overwhelmed and if he doesn't play that good for the rest of the season, can you really blame him? I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you guys think that he's overwhelmed and worn out, because I think he is. Um yeah, it's tough to be Devin Booker right now, and I don't know. That's a great question. Rowan Dave Mom says, "Hey." That's the name, Rowan Dave Mom. Um, Josiah, I hope I said your name right. I hope I didn't butcher your name. Josiah the Baller says, the Suns said they're going to make big splashes this off season. Yeah, I think a lot of teams say that, but now the Suns actually have to act on it. Ox writes, hello, how are you doing? Suns need a power forward. I'm doing good, Ox. Thanks for asking, man. Life's been crazy lately, but I'm doing good. Yeah, the Suns need a power forward. We sort of addressed that earlier. Um, Again, I would not mind Dario Sarge coming off of our bench. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know if Dario Sarge would like that, but I would keep Dario coming off the bench. Because again, the Suns do play good when he plays good. Um, Carlos Johnson from GCU. I think he's talking about the DeAndre Ayton compare question. I don't know who Carlos Johnson from GCU is. um, Coda Kid, thank you so much, man. I see you in all the comments. I see you literally nearly every video you comment. So shout out to Coda Kid. Thank you so much. Rowan Dave Mom. That's a really good question. Do you like Cam Johnson? I love Cam Johnson. I remember when he was drafted, I had a friend who was like upset because of how, I wouldn't say upset. He was frustrated with how old Cameron Johnson was for rookie. And I was like, dude, the Phoenix Suns drafted a man, not a teenager. I'm like, Cam Johnson's had years of college experience. He's one of the best shooters in college ball. He's easily one of the best shooters on the Suns. I was like, this is a great draft pick. Once Cameron Johnson puts it together, I think he'll be a solid player in this league. He'll be one of the best shooters in the league. Once he can consistently start draining the three, you'll probably see him in a 3-point contest. Just my opinion. He's that good of a player. I think if it weren't for injuries, he would have been in the Rising Stars game. I think again, if he can stay healthy, he'll be one of the best shooters in the league. So yes, I do like Cam Johnson. And in my opinion, I don't think Cam Johnson needs the G League because we've recently been seeing excuse me. We've recently been seeing Ty Jerome go back and forth to the G League. And I don't think Cam Johnson needs the G League. I just think he just needs experience. He needs to play. He just needs to hit his shots. So yeah, shout out to Cam Johnson. Great player. And if you guys have watched all of my videos, especially this past year, when I went to the Valley Boys event, I walked up to him and I was like, "Hey Cam, can you shout out Suns Geek?" And he's like, "What's up, Suns Geek?" And it just every time I see that clip, I just laugh. It is so funny. I have a copy of it on my phone. Um, I'll always love Cam Johnson for shouting out Suns Geek when I asked him to. All right. Alan writes, we should go after Gallinari. I'm surprised Gallinari wasn't traded, by the way. Coda Kid writes, I love Dario, man. Feel bad for him. Yeah, I do too. Alan writes, I like Aaron Gordon. He is a good player. I just don't want to give up Oubre. Yeah, that's a great way to sum it up. Don't give up Kelly Oubre for Aaron Gordon. Just don't. I totally agree with you, Alan. Thank you for leaving that comment. Jeremiah writes, what about one of the Morris twins or Julius Randle? Whoa, 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 whoa. With all due respect, Jeremiah, neither Morris twin is coming back to Phoenix ever. I'm sorry, it's just not happening. And it's because of a lot of reasons, but because they just don't want to come back to Phoenix ever. And if I was in the Morris twins' shoes, seeing what happened in Phoenix, I wouldn't want to come back either. I think it was Markieff Morris who had a falling out with Jeff Hornacek. Um, Marcus Morris, it was either, I don't know, it was one of the twins, but they got like in a bench altercation with Archie Goodwin. Do you guys remember that? Like it was just so bad. And I feel really bad for Markieff Morris because fans were tearing him apart when he was here. And I guess rightfully so. But Markieff Morris was one of those players when he was with Phoenix, he statistically was getting better and better each season. I liked Markieff Morris. And I felt bad for Markieff Morris. So he's never coming back. Neither of them is coming back. They hate Phoenix. They've trashed Phoenix. And again, can you really blame them? I I don't know. But he did also mention what about the Morris twins or Julius Randle? Julius Randle, I feel like he's just one of those players. He gets brought up in trade conversation, but I also feel like if Julius Randle was on your favorite team, you'd probably like him. And I feel like I'd be the same way. I feel like if Julius Randle was on the Phoenix Suns, I would probably really like him. He is a good player. I don't know if he's the answer at power forward. Does he have borderline all-star potential? Yeah, I think he does. I mean, he was the 7th overall pick. Good player, but is he the answer at power forward? Um, I don't know. All right, Ox writes, "What do you think of my profile pic? I drew it." Let me see if I can pull that up. I think that's DeAndre Ayton. The picture's a little small because I'm in the chat right now and I can't really view it. I can't really pull it up. But yeah, from what I can see, that's DeAndre Ayton. That's awesome, man. If you if you can reach out to me on social media or something and like send that to me, I'll feature it in one of my videos, man. Cause that's pretty cool. So congratulations on drawing that. That's really cool. Shout out to Ox. Triple Red writes, "You should do this more often." I totally agree with you. Life's just been crazy lately, you guys. I've been in my personal life, there's been a lot going on. I obviously moved states. Um, Long story behind that. I do want to do more. I don't know why I stopped. Like I did a few of them in January and in December, and I just kind of stopped. And I think this live stream's gone very, very well despite the lighting issues. And I think I will do more. I keep saying that, but I think I'll do more because this chat's gone good. You guys have asked great questions. There's still a few of you in here. We got about 11 likes right now. I've been live for nearly 43 minutes, and I appreciate you guys and thank you. All right, let's see. U of A basketball was fun for me since 2017. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on, we're having technical difficulties here. Trying to keep up with all the comments and questions. You guys did a great job of flooding them in here. Cody Kid writes, "I would give up Jerome and Dario." I think he's talking about for Aaron Gordon. Andrew writes, is the stream buffering or is it just me? Hopefully it hasn't done that much this live stream. I can't really tell. We haven't been disconnected or anything, which is good. Andrew writes, "I miss Jamal Crawford." Coda Kid writes, "Jay Crossover, the GOAT." Triple Red wrote, "He had a game winner too." Oh yeah, Jamal Crawford. I forgot about that. Was that against the Bucks? We had a little bit of our live stream earlier talking about Jamal Crawford, and I forgot that he had the buzzer beater. He had a lot of good moments in Phoenix. You gotta wonder why they didn't bring him back. Gotta wonder if it was like a management's decision not to bring him back because I don't know. That's a strange one about Jamal Crawford not coming back to the Suns. How many years are the Suns away from being relevant? Writes TC. And that's kind of the question that was answered earlier. Now, he said the key word relevant. I've never really liked that word relevant. I don't know why. Um, I don't know. You guys tell me. You guys answer the questions now. How many years are the Suns away from making the playoffs? How many years are the Suns away from being relevant again? Coda Kid writes, "Hopefully next season. We need to close out games. You never know. The Suns could bring a big surprise for next season." Yes. And whatever the Suns do, you guys know that I'm going to talk about it on this channel. I love the Suns, but I'm trying to figure out who wants to be the leader that will beat out other NBA teams' leaders out there. Says TC wrote that. I hope I read that question right. Or not question, but comment. I love the Suns, but I'm trying to figure out who wants to be the leader that will beat the other NBA teams' leaders out there. That's a fair statement. Anything crazy and unexpected can happen in the NBA, writes Andrew. What's your thoughts? Sorry, Kenny Perry writes, "What's your thoughts on Mikal and Cameron Johnson's ceiling? I believe if they develop well, it will change the team's trajectory in the future." Wow. Great question, Kenny. Thank you very much. Um, Ceiling. is what he's asking. What are Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges' ceilings? I sort of addressed Cam Johnson earlier. I said that once he figures it out, once he can consistently start draining threes, I think he'll be one of the best shooters in the NBA. That's his ceiling. I don't know if he'll ever be an all-star. I don't know if he'll ever even be a starter, but I do think Cam Johnson was the right pick at number 11. I do think the Suns shouldn't have traded so far back for him, if that makes sense. Like they shouldn't have traded the sixth pick because they could have gotten Cam Johnson somewhere in there, like in the top 15 through 20th pick, maybe in the low 20s they could have gotten him. Kind of where they got Ty Jerome at 24. So that's my ceiling for Cam Johnson. I could be way wrong. He could one day be one of the best players in the NBA, or he could be a draft bust. You never know. But for Mikal Bridges, this guy is special. I sort of said this about Julius Randle earlier. If Mikal Bridges was on another team, fans would love Mikal Bridges. I bet you there are some big NBA fans who barely know who Mikal Bridges is. I don't know. I mean that in a good way. That kind of sounds rude, but it's true. Like, I feel like they don't really know who Mikal Bridges is because he plays for the Phoenix Suns. But what they should know is that he's very versatile. He's one of the best defenders in the NBA. He's long. If Mikal Bridges can get a jump shot, that'd be great. He's a great player. I don't know what his ceiling is though, but I hope that he'll be one of the best Phoenix Suns players down the road. Maybe sort of like in a PJ Tucker kind of way, but like more athletic, because Mikal Bridges will guard the opposing team's best player. I've seen it. So if he can become one of the best defenders on the team, I think that's Mikal Bridges' ceiling. Feel free to disagree with me. Great question. Very, very great question. I appreciate that, Kenny. Thank you very much for asking that. Timothy Jones writes, he probably knew the owner and didn't want us to make the playoffs this year. Arena remodeling plans. I think he's talking about the trade deadline. That's kind of funny. I don't know why I found that funny. Kenyon Perry writes, hey, what's up, Brandon? Kenyon, I see you in so many of the comment section in all my videos, and I really appreciate it. You truly are a Suns geek, and I appreciate that. Timothy Jones writes he wants to win. Coda Kid, we should trade for Jeremy Grant. Yes, Jeremy Grant is a good player. Still young. I think he would thrive on the Suns. Jamar Tate writes, smash that like button. Please do. Please smash that like button right now. Just whatever you're doing, just click that like button. It really, really helps. TC writes, I feel the league is very deep and there are many great basketball players around the world. You need players who want to lead. Book should be demanding the ball more. Okay. I hear what you're saying, TC, and I agree with you because we all know Devin Booker is one of the best scorers in the NBA. But this is where Monty Williams comes in because Monty Williams has that like 0.5 offense or something. And earlier this year, it was reported that Monty Williams wants 300 passes a game. Let me repeat that. Earlier this year, it was reported that Monty Williams wants 300 passes a game. That's crazy. Like, so I get what you're saying. Devin Booker should be demanding the ball more. I totally get it. But with this offense, I don't know why I find that funny too. Like with this offense, I don't think that can happen. And it's crazy because Booker's averaging 26 per game. And if, for those of you who don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but the highest scoring average in Phoenix Suns history is like 27. I think by Walter Davis or by Charlie Scott. That's some Phoenix Suns history for you right there, by the way. Devin Booker's like a point away from that. And I've made a video about it. I think Devin Booker's going to be the Phoenix Suns all-time leading scorer. He already passed 7,000 points. So So Booker should demand the ball more, but will Monty Williams' system allow him to? And I will say this, Monty Williams really knows his offense knows how to move the ball. The ball movement's been, I think, pretty good this year. Um, Again, the Suns just need a better bench. The Suns just need more help. We need a long-term answer at power forward. And but then again, I'm really open-minded. Maybe Devin Booker should demand the ball more for the rest of the season. I don't know. Great comment, TC. I really appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to butcher this name and I apologize. Lucian Van Herk. I hope I said your name right. Is Cam like a Harris type? Are you talking about Tobias Harris? I could probably see that if that's what you're talking about. Tobias Harris. Decent player. I don't think Tobias Harris deserved that kind of a contract that he got, but he's a good player. He's got a really good story, I think, about his grandfather in like the military. Tobias Harris does, by the way, so that's pretty cool. TC also writes the NBA town is deep and it will only get deeper through the years. Is replaceable in today's NBA. If you're not aggressive and start leading, then you become replaceable. Oh, okay. By the way, Suns fan for life, no matter what. Thank you, TC. Yeah, I'm a Suns fan for life, no matter what. You guys know that. If you guys have been following this channel, you guys know me. Phoenix Suns fan for life. Shout out to TC. Ox says, sure, thanks, because I'm going to give him a shout out about his drawing. Triple Red writes, you ever going to move back to Phoenix? That's sort of, I was going to probably address that in this live stream about me moving. I might talk about that maybe at the very end. It's a little, I don't want to say personal because I like being honest with you guys. I like talking to you guys. I'll just answer your question. I hope so. It's a lot going on in my life right now, especially with my family. Um, I hope so because I love Phoenix. I really do. Dan writes, Suns Geek is the best. Thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate it. You guys make me feel a lot more famous than I really am. My, my dog knows. He writes, why did you move up? Why did you end up moving to Tennessee? Like I said a few times in this live stream, personal, family reasons, a little bit financial reasons too. And he also writes, depending on free agent moves in the offseason, they could be a playoff team next year. The wrong moves, and it's more years than I care to think. They have to figure out the injury bug too. Bridges is really starting to get his NBA game together. He's going to be a key piece for years. Well said. Totally agree with you. But I don't think any NBA team can figure out the injury bug. Injuries are excuse me. Injuries are just unpredictable. They can like look at Kelly Oubre. He was playing when his injury happened. Like injuries are unpredictable. I will say this though, I miss Aaron Nelson and his training staff. Aaron Nelson was loved by the NBA. He was loved by the Phoenix Suns, and the Phoenix Suns let him go. They let him go to New Orleans, I think. So I miss Aaron Nelson and the training staff because we all know we could really use Aaron Nelson and his training staff right now. Andrew writes, Booker put up amazing stats. TC writes, thank you. Watch your stuff all the time. Right back at you. Thanks, TC. Suns Geek for life. Andrew Dang, you're an honest fan. He's talking to TC. Andrew's talking to TC and says, you're an honest fan at TC. My dog's knows if it's personal, no pressure. He's talking about me moving. I know some teams look at their off season conditioning when the injuries mount. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. That's true. Andrew writes, I really like these live chats. We're part of this family. Yeah. Anybody who supports me and watches me, who's friends with me, you guys know you guys are like family. Um, Once I reach 2,000 subscribers, it's like we reach 2,000 subscribers because you're the reason I'm reaching it. So, really appreciate your guys' support. Really appreciate your guys' nice comments. Um, I know that it's so cliche for YouTubers to be like, smash that like button, but it really does help us YouTubers. It really does. By the way, I follow a YouTuber who says that he's a content creator. And I'm like, I wonder if I should start calling myself that because that's what a lot of people call themselves now, content creators. I'm like so old school. I'm like, I'm a YouTuber. Like, I don't know. I still call myself a YouTuber. Random little rant there. Kenny Perry, who asked a great question earlier, says, what is your thoughts so far on Monty Williams as our coach? And if you see a culture change in the process. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I remember when Monty Williams was first signed to Phoenix, I said, this is great, but now the Phoenix Suns need to do something about it. Like, put a team around Monty Williams. Like, it could have been me signed as head coach, it could have been you, it could have been anybody, but it was all about the Phoenix Suns doing something about their roster. And obviously they improved, but I do think he is bringing a culture. I mean, Monty Williams is one of the nicest, well respected coaches around the league. He really does seem like a good, genuine person. Monty Williams does. Now, sometimes I think his rotations can get a little bit sketchy. I know that every coach will be criticized for what they do. And there's probably a few Phoenix Suns fans out there who do not like Monty Williams. I personally do. I think that he was the right coach, especially for the right situation. Coming to this young, rebuilding Phoenix Suns team. And again, it's just all about his rotations. It's all about his offense. It's all about him, you know, making sure that Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton and Kelly Oubre succeed, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. If that makes sense. I like Monty Williams, to answer your question. So, any other questions, guys? Go ahead, leave them in the chat. Um, I might end this chat soon if you guys got nothing else. You guys can leave comments. You guys can ask questions. I'll probably go live for another 10 more minutes. This has been one of the longest live streams I've ever done. So shout out to you guys. Once again, if you guys haven't already, follow me on Twitter at SunsGeekBrandon. That's twitter.com/SunsGeekBrandon. And follow me on Instagram too at SunsGeek. I post a lot of my personal stuff on Instagram, and occasionally follow the or will post personal stuff on Twitter. I honestly tweet about like anything. I'll post some funny stuff on there. I'll post motivational stuff on there. I'll retweet a bunch of good stuff that I believe in. Um, Triple Red writes, any good draft prospects for us? Okay, the draft. I haven't done. Okay, I've had a weird relationship with the NBA draft. The past 3-4 years, I've really dove into it. Like it was my job to do it. Like I studied these guys, I researched these guys, watched, you know, YouTube clips of them. But this year's going to be different, guys. I've already sort of looked into it. And also, I feel like it depends on what pick we get for one. But I guess this draft class is really weak, which sounds cliche because there've been some weak draft classes. You know, the 2016 draft class was pretty weak, and there will be a few hidden gems. There will be. just how the NBA draft works. There's going to be hidden gems. There's going to be your draft steals, but I guess this draft class is really weak, you guys. So I will make draft videos soon, probably during the summer, once it gets closer to the draft. I've never really been good with like predictions. That's just one thing I'm not really that good at is like predictions. Like, oh, predict the Phoenix Suns record and predict this. I've just never been that good at it. Um, but yeah, I guess it just all depends on what draft pick we get. And it will the Suns even bother to draft a player from it? I mean, they could trade it. Never know what's going to happen because we got a lot of young prospects already on our team. So, do I think we'll get a top, like a lottery pick? Probably. I can't see us really. I mean, like, are we a lottery team right now? Like, as far as the draft lottery, I don't know. I think we have about 25, 24 wins. I don't know. Alrighty, guys. So feel free to keep asking questions. I think I'm going to stay live for a little bit longer. Refresh my little Twitter feed here. Appreciate everyone who's joined. Tweeted out my Twitter link if you guys want to give me a follow. Let's pull up the NBA standings. Ooh, by the way, Triple Red just asked a great question, but I'm going to pull up the NBA standings first, and then we will answer Triple Red's question. Remember, I'm reading these standings while there's games about to be played. But we're going to talk about the NBA standings first. This will kind of show you guys that I know also a lot about the NBA. I feel like I know a lot about the NBA. I'm a little bit biased, but I feel like I know a lot about the NBA, just my personal opinion. So Triple Red, I will answer your question, but let's just quickly dive into the Western Conference standings real quick. We're going to go from bottom to top. So Golden State Warriors just got Steph Curry back. They're 14-49. They are in such a good spot. Maybe not financially because they have so many like contracts and they're probably way over the cap, but they are set. I mean, you got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and then you have a whole bunch of players that you can keep. Like these G League Warriors, as I keep calling them, they're basically auditioning to be on the team next year. Plus, they got Andrew Wiggins. Plus, they are potentially going to get the number one overall pick in the NBA draft, and then they can just trade that pick. Or you could keep it and develop it, and then once Clay and Steph are out of their prime, you have a possible young star. So good job for the Warriors. They're in the bottom seed. Minnesota Timberwolves are 19-42. They got D'Lo. They got Karl Anthony Towns. Waiting for those two to mesh. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns has been hurt, so they can't really do that right now. The Phoenix Suns are currently the 14th spot. Is that correct? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep, 14. Oh, 13. Sorry. I can't do math, and I can't read either. 24 wins, 38 losses. And I do believe that if the Suns were healthy, that the Suns would at least be in the 8th seed right now. Because here's the look for the 8th seed. The Memphis Grizzlies are in the 8th seed. They're 31-31. They've won 3 in a row, and they've won 5 out of their last 5. Or 5 out of their last 10, excuse me. Portland somehow is sneaking up there in the 9th seed, 28-35. Once again, the Phoenix Suns have only won 24 games. So if the Suns had a few more wins, they'd be the 9th seed right now. Sacramento, 27-35. San Antonio, 26-34. New Orleans, who's been playing pretty good, 26-36. Or, yeah, 26-36. It's like I said that earlier in the live stream. If the Phoenix Suns could somehow just win like 5-6 in a row, I don't know. Just it does go to show how great the Western Conference is because, and I remember people always forget that in 2013-14, the Phoenix Suns won 48 games and did not make the playoffs. That shows how good the Western Conference is and has been. So the Phoenix Suns were healthy, fully healthy, even with Frank Kaminsky, who people forget about. The Suns would at least be fighting for that 8th seed. I truly believe that. That's being non-biased. That's just being a basketball fan that is seeing what the Suns have done all season long, which is an improvement. Gotta remember, the Suns only won 19 games last year. So 24 wins. And by the way, I think Peter had asked this question earlier. He had asked, what was the question? Yeah. So the question was, if this roster was healthy, do you think they'd be capable of making the playoffs? Or are they still missing pieces? So I answered that question earlier in the live stream. So that's my point. Games do you think the Suns are going to win this year? I feel like 30 is kind of our lucky number. 30, 31 games. That's not asking that much. But we just got to win these winnable games. And the Suns just haven't do that. Let's pull up their schedule too. Let's just pull up their schedule, the remaining schedule anyways. And then we'll talk about that. So okay. All right. So we play Portland tonight. Milwaukee, we're probably going to get crushed. I'm scared to play Milwaukee. Okay. So we have basically back-to-back Portland games because we play Portland tonight. Then we play them Tuesday, March 10th. We can win those games. One of them is at home, which is tonight. Then on the road in Portland, after we play Milwaukee, we get days off in between both games. That could win. Dallas is playing really good. We play Dallas. Minnesota, we can probably win. So 1, 2. And if we beat Minnesota, that's 3. That's 27 wins. Then we play the Clippers, Mavericks, Pacers, Washington. If the Suns can at least win 2 of those. Then we play Philadelphia, Miami, Cleveland. Cleveland's definitely a winnable game. And by the way, I think Cleveland's got a lot of young talent. I think once they finally move on from Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson, they can just embrace the rebuild. And I think they have a pretty good team, just my opinion. I mean, Kevin Porter, Darius Garland. People are like, oh, they need to move on from Colin Sexton. I'm like, why? Colin Sexton's having a great season. He's a good player. I like Colin Sexton. So then we start off April. So Cleveland's our last game in March. Then we do Oklahoma City, which is the first game of April on April Fool's Day. That's at Oklahoma City. They're like a Cinderella team this year. They're having a great season. Then we play Cleveland April 3rd. We can beat them too. Chicago April 5th. We can probably beat them. Minnesota, New Orleans. New Orleans, despite even if they make the playoffs, I feel like that's still a winnable game. And I love their roster. I love what New Orleans has done. So New Orleans is April 9th. Utah is April 11th. They've been like the big question mark team this year, so that could be a winnable game. Houston, April 13th. The Phoenix Suns beat them the last time. I think we crushed Houston the last time we played them. And then we versed the Lakers. Like the Suns can win over 30 games. That sounds crazy, but I really think they can. All right. I ran out of water, so I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. So, Triple Red asked a really good question. Maybe I'll make a separate video about this. I'm not going to talk about it too long. Why did you become a Suns fan, and how long have you been a Suns fan? I've just been a basketball fan for as long as I can remember. I first played soccer when I was young, like every kid plays soccer. I wasn't that good at it. I think I scored a goal for the wrong team. I remember I was decent at like being the defender by the goal. Don't know too much about soccer. I do know that I like to watch soccer. Soccer is actually a lot of fun to watch. Not so good at playing it, but so I started off in soccer, wasn't that good. and then just kind of fell in love with basketball. For those of you who don't know, I grew up in Utah and watched John Stockton, watched Karl Malone, watched Jeff Hornacek, fell in love with the Jazz and just fell in love with the Suns because my family did move out to Phoenix. And just ever since then, just been huge Phoenix Suns fan, been obsessed with basketball, been obsessed with NBA history. I absolutely love NBA history. I've studied the game. I've studied just so much. Like I've literally just invested my whole self into basketball. So that's how I became a Phoenix Suns fan. And maybe one day I'll make a video talking about how this channel started because for those of you who have been with me a long time, this channel was not always called Suns Geek. It wasn't. It was called Brandon Condren TV. So there's a lot of history with that. And but yeah, this channel is now called Suns Geek, and you guys know me. I will forever do Suns videos for as long as I possibly can. And hopefully you guys continue to like and support. So great question by Triple Red. Sorry it took so long to answer your question. Andrew writes, don't know how we swept Milwaukee last season. Yeah, that was pretty good. Despite how terrible last season was, beating the Bucks felt like winning a championship. We beat them twice. Like it was that good. And they had Giannis. Like, man, that it was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. How great was it when the Jazz underrated Ricky Rubio? I think he's I I don't understand what you're talking about, TC. I'm sorry. But I'm glad we have Ricky Rubio now. If that's kind of what you're addressing, like I'm glad that we have Ricky Rubio. The Jazz kind of just gave up on him. He didn't play that well for Utah, but I do know that a lot of Utah fans loved Ricky Rubio when he was there. Brian writes, "What's up, man? What's up, Brian?" Excuse me. All right, guys. So, any last minute questions? Now is your time to ask them. Get them in now. Brian writes, I think when we make the playoffs, Cam is going to have a breakout game or series. Yes, I agree. I feel like Cam Johnson would be one of those players that has a great playoff series, gets more national attention. So, alrighty, guys. So I think I'm going to end the live stream there. You guys have been awesome. I can't shout out all of you guys, but seriously, you guys came with the questions. You guys came with the comments. You guys did great. Andrew, TC, Kenny, Kenyon, Coda Kid, trying to remember all of you guys that have been here. Cameron was the first one in here. Shout out to Cameron. Shout out to Peter and Xavier who asked a whole bunch of questions. This was fun. We should do more of these. Why I don't do them, I don't know. But I feel like this was a really successful one. Thank you guys for clicking like. You guys are awesome. Feel free to reach out to me on social media. We can talk more Phoenix Suns basketball. We can interact with each other. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't already at Suns Geek. Go Suns. We play tonight. And we have a few winnable games coming up. Big night of basketball on. I think starting like right now, I think it's Lakers Bucks, and then I think the Mavericks play. But I'll be watching probably both games. Probably be watching the Bucks, Lakers, and the Suns versus Blazers. Have a good night, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this live stream. You guys are absolutely incredible. And as always, guys, my name is Brandon, and if it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. As always, Valley Boys, stand up.